I understand, and I see that sometimes you don't understand what the goal of the task. And we will do this task, and we will also do task number 5, because we need to do it for the task number 10. So to do task number 10, we need to do task number 5. So first we are going to return to task number 5. And I know that almost everybody did it, but I will do it one more time, just to refresh your knowledge about this. So we will have these comments here. What we are going to do, create a function to calculate an addition of digits of entered integer number. So the number will be entered, and we must take the digits of this number. So get the digits, yes, and we must add these digits, and the sum of these digits must be returned by function. So here we must use the function, but before the function we will start with begin. Begin, it's the entry point of our program. Yes, here will be the start of our program. The compiler will go there and will start the program. And what we must do in our main program, we must ask user to input the number, the integer number, and we must pass this number to the function to calculate the addition of the digits of this number. Yes, so the main calculations must be inside this function. So getting the digits of the number, calculate the addition of this number, everything must be inside the function. And only one thing we are going to have in our main program, we must ask user to enter the number. So let's do it. Let's take some variable to store this number. For example, let's call it x. It doesn't matter what the name there will be, yes. So, and it will be an integer, we know, with integer. And it is better when we ask user, when we have some message for user. For example, please input the number. And we don't know what the number there will be. It may be a 2-digit number, for example, like this, 23. It may be 3-digit number, for example, 534. It may be 4-digit numbers, yes, so digit number. So we don't know what digits, how many digits there will be inside this number. And we must get these digits and understand how many of them there will be. We must do it inside the function. And we must, before our program, we have the definition of this function. So we must have a function. It is a keyword to have our function. Yes, always we must put this keyword before the function name. And now we can put some function name here. So how can we name our function? Maybe we will have it in our task. No, we don't have in our task the name. So we must name it by ourselves. So let's call it sum of digits, yes, because the name of the function usually must have some meaning. What will it does, the implementation of this function. Sum of digits. All together, and I don't remember if I told you or not about this camel notation. So in Pascal ABC.NET, we can use the camel notation of the names when each word starts with capital letter, but without spaces, no any spaces between the words, because it's a name, the total name, yes, and we can't use the spaces inside it. But we can use this capital letter just to separate the words between each other. So we use this capital letter. The words, each word starts with capital letter. So just do it every time when you have the name for your function. Okay, the name is sum of digits, and this function must accept the number from our main program. So we need this parameter. It must be passed from our main program to this function. And let's call it, for example, nump, yes, number, or maybe number even. It doesn't matter, but it must be some meaningful name also. And we know that it will be integer type. And the function will return the sum, the addition of the digits of this number. So after this parameter, after this parenthesis with this parameter, we need to have here the type of the value which will be returned by our function. So the type will be also integer. And we need to do it here, integer. Okay, then we will have the body of our function, begin. And IntelliSense gave us the end of this begin. I'm sorry. And here we know that we will count some, we will calculate this sum, yes, sum. So we can define this sum variable. Let's do it. Sum variable, it means that we will store there the sum of our digits. The initial value for sum variable is always 0, because we must start with some initial value. We must add to some value the digit. Yes, so we will start with 0, and then we will have there plus digit, plus digit, plus digits, and so many digits as we have in our number. I'm sorry. I had the lessons since 8 o'clock today, so my voice doesn't work anymore. Okay, and after it, here we have the algorithm to get the digits from our number. If you don't know this algorithm, if you don't understand it, I recommend you to learn it by heart. Just to learn it by heart, but of course it is better if you understand it and if you remember it, but if you don't understand it and if you don't remember, so you need to learn it by heart. So here always we use while loop, and the condition of the loop is while the number, it's our number, yes, while it is greater than 0, we are going to do something. And what we are going to do? Here we need again begin and end, because there will be some statements inside this while loop. And we are going to have the last digits, to get the last digits from this number. How to get the last digit? So it will be some variable, let's call it digit, var, digit, and it will be assigned to, we need to take the last number from this number. For example, we have here 435, for example. We need to get this number 5, this digit. How can we get it? Tell me, please, you know, everybody must know it. So what we must do with this number?
Divided by 10.
No, but not divided, but the modular after the division.
We
Yes?
want to get 5, right?
Yes, to get 5 and to store
Mod,
it in, yes, mod 10.
10.
Yes, so it will be 5 and it will be stored inside this digit variable. Yes. And then we are going to use this sum variable to add this number to this sum. Yes. So we can do it like this: sum plus equals digit. So we count it, we add it, and we don't need to have it anymore. We must clear it, remove it from our number. How to do it? What must we do with this not digit number?
Divide?
Yes, now we must divide it by 10. So if we divide it by 10, the last digit just will be removed. Yes, by 10. Okay, so after this statement, we will have 43. And the next loop inside this digit, there will be 3 digits. Yes, and these 3 digit will be added to sum. And again, if we have added already, we don't need it. We do this line number 10, and we removed.
In the line sum equal digit, like shouldn't we add it? Like sum plus equal digit?
Thank you. Yes, we should add it. Yes, plus equals to digit, of course. Thank you. So we have added it and clear it up. Yes, edit and clear. And we do it until number is greater than 0. So when we have everything, we will have 0 or less. So we stop these loop repetitions. Yes. And the function always must return this value. So we have done here, we calculated the sum, so we need to return this sum value to our program. How to do it? There is a special variable, it is called result. Always you must do it. That will accept this value which was calculated in our function. So result set to sum. So result have integer type, yes, and it will be returned to our main program when we call it. So we must call this function. But one more thing here, you must understand that we may not have the sum variable here at all. We may not have it at all. For example, we can do the same without this sum, but we need to put this result instead of sum, and that's all. We can do it this way, because there will be the sum of the digits, yes? So you can have some different ways to do this task. You can do it like this. Just here.
Ma'am, what is the result up?
What?
Yeah, because I run it right now and it's not working. When I put result equals sum, assign to sum.
And have you called this function?
Actually, I did it exactly like you're doing it right now.
Okay, we haven't finished it yet. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we must. What I wanted to tell you that every time if we run this program, nothing will happen. Just we entered some digits, some number, yes, and nothing happens because we didn't call the function, we must call it. The compiler will not execute this code until we call the function. Because the starting point of our program is line number 14. The compiler goes here and it sees that it waits from us to enter some number. We enter it and that's all. The end of our program, that's all. It doesn't see this code until we ask it to do it. So we must put the name of our function, but we must put it inside some print statement. Print statement, yes. And usually we must have some message, for example, result or sum of digits, something like this, yes. Result, and then we must call this function. Call by its name. So the name of the function must be here. And of course, if it has the parameter, one parameter, we need to have it when we call this function also. If we have one parameter here, only one number, we must have the same one parameter here. But here we have x. Yes, we have x instead of number. We have some number entered, for example, 23, and this 23 will be, the number will be replaced by 23. So it will be here. And inside this function, we will use the number, but it is the same number we have entered. So the main, the majority.
I don't quite understand. Like from here, like when you plot the result, you put it like equal to digit plus digit, and instead of the name of the function itself, right?
Like the result is just the variable to store the
like
result.
You deleted some, made it only sum. It is the result, correct?
But here the sum will be calculated. Yes,
it is the same. Yes,
it's the same. Yes.
But I did not. You did not assign it as it is the same. Like, you understand me?
No.
Like right now, like shouldn't we put like code that result equals sum? Because right now sum is not needed at all. You just use the result, right? This is what you're doing, right? Okay. But down here at the end of the code, when you used yes here, okay, so yeah, so you just deleted the result sum at all and use the result instead.
Yes, we delete sum at all, yes, because if we use here, the result here, it will be calculated here, and we don't need sum, yes, if we use it like this.
What if I will assign result equals to sum, and then after the end of the function, I will ask, when I'm starting to call the function itself, I will not put result, I will put sum, like normal code. Will it work or not?
No. So now it is work, yes, and if we have some variable, it will work also if we have var as we had it, yes, var sum equals to 0. And in this case, we must assign this calculation to result, always. So result must, this variable must store the results of our function. They will be returned to our program. Yes, this calculation must return to our program. The compiler knows that result variable stores the value which must be returned to the program. And if we don't have this variable, it will be just, it will return nothing. Yes. Or there is another way, there is another possibility when we use not a result, but we use the name of our function. It is possible too. So instead of it, we can use this. It's the same, but it is better to remember about the result, because it's understand that result, it's a result of our function. So, but it will be the same. If we have 45, for example, the result it is 9, because 4 plus 5 will be 9. So, three possibilities for you. To use, to store the result, to use the name of the function, or to use the variable result here. And even we can omit this sum. Yes, we don't need it if we use the result when we calculate the sum. So instead of this sum variable, we don't need it, because we can calculate, we can have this sum just inside this line. Yes.
But ma'am, in the previous way, when we wanted to use the name of the function sum of digits, and we wanted to assign it instead of result and make it equal to sum, we did not we did not define sum.
Why?
Like if I try to code it, it will tell me, okay, bar sum.
No.
Yeah,
No,
it told me that it's not working. It's not undefined.
No, you just maybe you skipped something, because it will work. Yes. So if we define sum, we calculate sum, and we just set sum of digits to this sum, it will work. Well, now
Maybe I put it in the wrong place.
Maybe. So
yeah, it's working
yeah.
Now.
Okay.
Sorry, man.
Okay. So what you must remember, the first thing is the function will return some type, some value of some type, and you need to put it here, the last word of your definition. Yes. The results of calculation must be stored inside the variable with the same name as our function. So it's not just a variable, it's our function. Yeah. Or it must be stored in a result variable. So this calculation will be returned to our program when we call this function. We must call this function in our main program. So to call the function, I mean that we put the name of the function and we pass the parameters. If we have only one parameter, we must have here one. If we have two parameters here, for example, we have one more parameter we can have, for example, y. So we must have here also some another parameter. So if we have two parameters here, all this function we must have here also two parameters. A very common error, mistakes. Almost everybody did this mistake. The parameters, the number of parameters must coincide with the number of them inside the definition of this function, because there will be an error. If we try to call without parameters, for example, we will have the error, and I have here the description of this error, that the parameters doesn't coincide to this what we have, what we must have. Yes. So the parameters must be the same. So the number of them must be the same. And one more thing, we did task number 5, but we didn't task number 10, because inside our 10 task, we must redo this task number 5, open the code of solution of task number 5, create the procedure to test the correctness of your function. And here we see that there must be 3 or 4 tests inside this procedure. So what does it mean? Let's return to our program. So it is better when we use some function, when we calculate in our program using some function, we calculate something. We need to test this function. It means that after this function, after the body of the function, but before we start our main program, we need to put the procedure, and usually we call it test or test and the name of our function, because there can be 2 functions or 3 functions inside one and the same program. So we need to use test and the name of our function, what we are going to test here inside this procedure. This procedure doesn't have any parameters, so we just put a semicolon. And then the body of this procedure. So begin and end. What does it mean to test the function? So we must just imagine that we pass different kinds of numbers to this function, and we must check if this function works works correctly. Just imagine. So, but we can do it with assert statement. Assert. At the parentheses, we must call this function sum of digits. And let's imagine that we will pass it, for example, 0. And we know that the sum of the functions, if we pass 0, must be 0, because no digits is here. Yes, it must be 0. So we must put it here, so it must be 0. But if we have a wrong algorithm, it will not return 0. If we have a wrong algorithm, maybe it will not return 0, yes? And in this case, we must output some message. So the function, for example, function does not work. The function does not work or does not work correctly. So some message for a programmer to understand that where was his mistake. Yes. So this message will be output if this function will not return 0 when we pass it 0. It must return, but it will not maybe, yes? And again, it's the first test, but we must do, if you see, 3 or 4 tests. So again, we will put assert. Again, we will call this function and try to imagine another situation. For example, we are going to pass negative number. Yes? If we are going to pass negative number, for example, minus 132, what we must have as a result? We must have 2 plus 3 plus 1. Yes, it will be 6. And if it will not return 6, we will have this message again. So it means that it will not work. And what do you think? Will our algorithm work well if we put negative number? Look at our...
I outside I put like while absolute value of number bigger than 0.
Yes, right, correct. Of course, to check negative number, to have negative number with this algorithm, it will not return correct. But we must put here absolute number of number, absolute value of number. Yes, absolute value of number. So we can use it everywhere before the number. But we can assign it. It is better even to reassign it. So before, we will do it another way, just a bit another way, not to put it everywhere. We will do it only once before. Yes, number is the absolute number of this number. That's all. So we changed everywhere we will have without minus, the number without minus. And but if you, for example, if you forget about it, so this test would tell you about it. Yes, it would return the function doesn't work. And one more, for example, one more, we can do the same line, but just another parameter. Let's do it just normal positive number, 432, for example, and it will return 789. Must return 9. So the procedure to test the function means that you call this function with different parameters to understand if it works well with these parameters. And you need to calculate yourself the results and to put it here, the correct results. And when you have our program, the first we must call this procedure, because we must understand if our function works well. First we must understand, and then we can call it. Yes. So the first we must call this procedure, and we put it this name of this procedure. And then we know that the procedure works well because nothing has happened, no messages. Yes, no messages. But so it will work well. Let's try to do it. For example, for this 234, we have 9, and it is correct. 5 plus 4, it will be 9. But if we change something, for example, we forgot about this absolute number, and we will try to run our program, and we have this exception. And we have here the message, the function does not work. And the line of the error is line number 18.
I think it's something wrong with the procedure, the assertion.
Yes. So at line number 18, we have this minus, and we understand that something wrong is here. So with minus, it doesn't work. So let's return and try to do it, to redo it. And we will have this, we will understand, yes, about this. Okay, so test procedure, it tests our function to understand if it does work or it does work not well in different situations, yes, with different parameters. And we must do it, it's professionally, it's like programmers must do. And the structure of the program must be this. So the first we have the function, the body of the function, the definition of the function. After the function, we have the procedure with assert statements inside it. Usually it must have 5 or 4 tests. Here we have 3 of them. And inside our main program, first we must call the procedure to test our function. Then usually we enter or ask user to input something. And then we call this function and have some results. Okay? So I think it must be clear now, but if you have the questions, so please ask me. Do you have?
Yes.
Somebody?
Yes, I do. I fixed number 10, but number 9 still something wrong with this assert thing. I don't know, the space or something capital or something small. Yeah. Like I don't know what's wrong with it. Like number 10, yeah, I fixed it. I put something wrong. I put like 40 and I put the answer 1. It should be 4. So I fixed it incorrect. But number 10, number 9, there's something wrong with it and I don't know what. Can I share my screen?
Okay, yes,
It is about the same assert thing, so.
Okay, could you share your screen? We will see what is inside your code.
Like when I press
You have
tell me what's wrong with number 18, line number 18. I think it's Wednesday.
so assert
I don't
with
know
this
what's wrong.
with Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday.
No, he said 18 and 19. I fixed 19, but 18 something wrong with it still, I think. How I can show my numbers of lines actually, by the way?
I'll tell you. It was in
Different version.
just yes. Just
I have what?
menu service. Do you have this menu service? I can
What's
see.
menu service?
Tools. You have tools.
Tools?
Menu tools. Yes. Options. Yes. And here I'll tell you where it
Maybe
is.
text editor.
Editor. Yes, editor.
Second.
And
text editor takes some time to open always. Yes. Take your time, buddy. Give it some time. I don't know what's wrong with this application, to be honest.
And the first tick, or how can we
Show lines,
check?
numbers.
Yes, check this. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Here we go. Number 18. Wednesday. It's Tuesday.
Tuesday. Something wrong with Tuesday. Yes. And let's look at it. When we have 2, we must have Tuesday. So you can copy this. Just this Tuesday word.
And 19 too is wrong now. What's wrong? I copied it, I think. Yes, that's from the question itself.
Yes, can you copy from the case when you have the case?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think I copied number 8 and I don't have. Hello?
Yes. If you entered 1, it is okay, yes? So enter 1. Just
Enter 1?
Yeah, 1.
Monday.
It is Monday, so it's okay. Then try to put 2.
It will work, I think.
But yes, and what's the problem? I don't understand.
I think there's some problem with assert.
No.
Because I sent it for you like this and you said something wrong with it.
No, assert was correct. You have just with small letters. Monday, Tuesday, small letters.
I
case
it.
statement.
Still
Yes, I see. But now it works because the test is correct. Yes. What do you have in your main program? Can you show me your
like number 4? I think it was the same like it.
Can you show me the begin and end of our main program?
In the question, I think you started the day from Sunday. But
it doesn't matter. It's
I know
not,
this is the only thing could
point.
Maybe string here. I don't know.
It will return string. It's okay. So it works now. I don't know what you want.
No, ma'am.
It's not very wide topic. And then we will talk about arrays. And this topic is very important and very, very long and wide, I would say, this way.
I know that's going to make the coding much easier, right?
What?
As I know about arrays, it's going to make the coding much easier, right?
Yes.
Because, okay, thank God.
Okay, so we will see it. But first, we need to know something about enumeration type. What does it mean? So enumeration type is a structure that enables us to create the variable with a fixed set of possible values. So what does it mean? For example, we have days of the week, and we know that they have exact names, yes, and there are only 7 of them. So we have fixed set of values. We can't change anything inside the names of the week or inside the number of the week. So we have fixed set. If we have fixed set of values, we can use this enumeration type. So here we have the type before our main program, before it. We must put the keyword type keyword. So it is better. So to have this keyword, it is important, yes, before our main program. Then we have the name of our enumeration type, the name of our variable to have a fixed set of values. And usually it is always also a meaningful name. And here we see that day of week. So we understand that there will be days of the week, yes. Then we put equal sign, and inside parentheses we must have the sequence of our values. So here we have the short versions of the names. Yes, month, you, that. So it is the short version of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on. And what we can do with this variable? For example, we can do something inside our main program. We have the variable of this type. So it is a type. It means it's the same like integer, char, for example, real. So it's also type, but it's user type. We just defined it ourselves and we give it a name. So it's our own type, but it is a type. So we can have the variable of this type, not integer, not char, but of this type. It means that this variable can store any value from this sequence, from this fixed set. And for example, we can assign this some value from this set. D is set to 1. Yes. If we put here something else not from this set, it will be an error, because this variable must have only some value from this list. So here we have a correct way of assigning. So we have this on our list, yes. So we can assign it. We can set D to this mon, for example. We can output this D. So it means that we will have in our output window this word mon. And we can use some functions, standard functions. They are pred function and suck function. So pred means that it will be the value returns the element that precedes the element that was passed to it. So if we have pred, it means so it will be the next, yes. And if we have a suck variable, so it means that suck returns the element that succeeds the element that was passed to it. So for example, for Monday, if we have suck D, it will be what it will be. It is better to use for Tuesday, yes. Suck, it will be Monday. And
means the next element.
No. Succeeded, it's the next, yes. The next, yes. For Monday, it will be Tuesday, and pred, it will be. No, it's better to use some another. For example, if we have Wednesday, pred of Wednesday will be Tuesday. Yeah. So we can use these functions, pred and suck. And what else can we do with this enumeration type? For example, we can output everything what we have in our list, just using for loop And here we have the variable which will accept from Monday. So the first value will be Monday, and to Friday. It means that it will iterate through all the list, yes, from Monday till Friday. And then we must check if D is Monday, so it will be print out the full name, Monday. If it will be Tuesday, it will be output the full of Tuesday, full name of Tuesday. If ved and so on. Yes, so we can output something from this list. And here we have from Monday till Friday, so the days of work days. Okay, so we can use the for loop to iterate it, and usually we use the case to check what was there inside this variable. So here we will see in our output window Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Everything will be outputted, every this word, because D will accept this one by one. So it will be, the first will be Monday, then it will be Tuesday, then it will be Ved, Thu, and Friday. Yes. So, and we will see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, and what else for you to know? That, for example, we usually use Boolean type. Sometimes we can use it, yes. And for you to understand that Boolean type is also an enumeration type, but it is inside the syntax of Pascal. So it has only two fixed set of values, false and true, but it is an enumeration type too. But we don't need to know it because it is inside the syntax. But just for you to understand that Boolean is also an enumeration type. Okay. And one more example, what can we do else? And how can we work with variables of enum type? Let's look at this example. So before the program, we have this enum type. We call it season. So it will be the seasons of the year. And then we have equal sign, and inside parentheses, we have our fixed set of values: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So we can't include something else, yes? There are only 4 of them. So we can use this enumeration type, season. We call it season. Then when we begin our program, we have the variable, and we can say that it will be, the type of this variable will be season type, yes? Season type. So it means that this variable can accept any of this set of this set value. Yes. So in this line, how can we assign? We can use this dot notation. So we call it dot notation when we have the type, the name of the type, and then we have the value which we are going to assign to our variable. So D is set to spring. And another very short version, when we have just D is set to autumn, for example, and that's all, without dot notation. So we have a long version for assigning, and we have a short version for assigning. But they are the same. So we can set it by name, and we can set it using dot notation. And we can output it if we are going to have it in our output window. And also we can use enumerated values can be compared. So what does it mean? So we can compare if D is equals to season summer, for example, yes, then we are going to have something. Or we can compare them using these signs, less than or greater than, for example. Here we have if season spring is less than season autumn. What does it mean? The position of this value inside this list is important here. Yes. So if spring is less than autumn, yes, it is less because it's first in our the first position in our list. Yes, and autumn is the third position. So spring will be less than autumn. So we can use this compare sign when we want to understand the positions of these words inside our list. So in our list, it will return true, yes? But the first condition will return false because D was set to autumn. Okay, so we can compare it. And now that's your turn to do this task. Task number 1 from lesson number 12. I will give you the link. Task number 1. Here we have to do. Request user to input a number, mark or grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it means that the user it will be entered. Yes, 1, 2, 3, or 5.
This means like we're gonna enter in the type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And no, type will be look here. Yes, these words: very bad, bad, satisfactory, good, and excellent. And don't use don't use space between these words. Yes, because it must be the same word. Yes. So you can't use the space, just underline sign. Check the input number to print out the explanation of the mark. So you will have these words as enumeration type, yes, and maybe also something more. It's just a hint for you. It will not enough for you, only these words. And then we have note 1, entered mark must be stored in variable char. So inside program, you must input char. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. It will be char, not integer, but char type. Yes, it will be just usual variable of char type. And we will read the char. And you must check if it was, for example, 1. So some variable of this enumeration type will return, for example, 4, it is good. If it was 5, it must return excellent. If it was 1, it must return very bad, and so on. Yes. So, but these values must be assigned to some variable of enumeration type. So you must do it using our lection. Our lection just as some example. Of course, you will have another code, but something you can take from this example. Yes, so try to do it, but I think you have a time to do it right now. The first thing is that sometimes we are going to use inside our programs a set of elements of the same type, and they have one and the same name, but they have indexes, and inside this name they have different memory locations. And these elements have, yes, they have indexes. We will use dynamic arrays. So it means that when we declare a variable of dynamic array, the initial length of this array is 0. And let's look how can we define the dynamic array. How can we define it? So we have our program begin. And then we are going to define some variable to have it as an array, dynamic array. So we will use it like var. We will put var here. Then we have the name. For example, let's call it, for example, R. Just array. Yes, array R. So I can give it this name. Then we put a semicolon. And usually we have here the type, integer or real or char or boolean. But here we must say that it will be an array of elements. So we must put the keyword array, which means that it will be the array. And inside the array, the elements must be of the same type. So each element has the same type as the other element. So inside the array, the elements are of the same type. And we must say it to a compiler. We must say what array it will be of, for example, integer. So if we will have the set of the elements with numbers, integer numbers, we must say array of integer. So it is definition. When we define this array, when we declare it, so initial length of this array is 0. So nothing inside the memory, almost nothing has happened. And the next line must be we call it object instance. So array, this R, we have it R, is assigned to new, it's the keyword, new integer. And here we must put how many elements there will be. For example, we need only 3 elements in our set of array. So we must put here 3, if there will be 3 of them. So what does it mean? That we have a new instance of the object array object, new instance. So this keyword means that we create a new instance of this object of array. And we say that it is integer, yes, and there will be 3 elements. There will be 3 numbers, integer numbers inside this array. And the next thing, we are going to initialize these elements of this array with some values. How to do it? We have the indexes, the elements have their positions in this set. So we can do it like this, R, inside this brackets, inside these brackets, we need to put 0 because the arrays are 0 indexed. It starts with 0. The first element has index 0. And we can assign some value, for example, 2. So it means that the first element, it has the index 0, and we have it like 2. So we set it to 2. And again, let's do it with another, the first element. So the first means the element with the index number 1. So to tell the truth, it will be not the first, but it will be the second element, yes? But the index is first. And let's put it, set it to 6 for, and one more. We have 3 of them, so it will be index 2, but it will be the third element. And for example, 9. So we have 3 elements as we told it to compiler, and we assigned it, we set each element to some value. We can do it like this way. And there is another way to do it, a short way. For example, let's create another array. Let's call it var r2, for example, the second array. And it will be also array of integers, And we also must do an instance of object array. So we do it like this. Is assigned to new integer, and let's have two numbers, two elements inside it. But I'd like to do it short way. So after this bracket, we need to open curly brace and to put the elements, so the values for these elements. For example, 1 and 8. So only two of them, and we did it in short form. Yes, it's short form. So the same like this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, and here we have only one line, and inside this line we have initialized this array with values. So the 0 element will set to 1. Will be set to 1, and the 1 index element will be set to 8. And how can we how can we print out the values of this variable? Let's do it just different ways. There are different ways. We can use print, for example, r. So if we run our program, what I have here, integer, of course. Okay, so print r means that we will have at the same line we will have each value of our element. 2, 6, and 9. 2, 6, and 9. Yes, and we see that it is an array because we have these brackets, array brackets. So we can use this print. But also we can use r dot print. Print. It is better to use here println to have a new line. Println. And if we will run our program, we see 2, 6, 9. So we can use this method. We call it method. Print here, it is the function, and println, it is the method of array object. So when we have r as instance of array, so it means that we have the object, and objects has some methods. If we put here dot, we see methods. There are many of them. So pink cube means that it will be methods. So we can do something with this array. We can clone it, copy to, equals to, some different methods to do something with this array. And here I used print. Let's find it. It is here. We can use print or println. I did println. I took println for this to output. So this method to output the array, every elements of the array, and also we can use this with some separators. So it means if we put here this parentheses, we see that there is the parameter of this function println. And here is one parameter, delim string. It means that we can put here some string to separate our elements. For example, we can use commas. or no, commas, it's not interesting, pluses, for example, pluses. So plus will be between each of our elements. Do you see it? Yes, 2 plus 6 plus 9. So we can use this method to have some delim between our elements of our array. So we can use different ways to print out the array. But if we are going to print out only one element from our array, for example, I need to print out the first element. So it is easy because we can put here print, and just R first. So index first, with index first, yes. So we can put some message here. The first, the element with index 1. Okay, just to see the explanation. And we see the element with index 1 is 6. Yes, so it is 6. And then we have our these methods and functions. So to accept the value of some element, we need to use its index. And we can check this element the same way. For example, we must check if the element with index 1 is equal to or is greater than 0. How can we do it? If R first is greater than 0, then we do something. Yes, so we can check it. And we must accept the value of this variable using the index of this element. And by the way, we can use the loop to iterate through all the arrays elements. So it is better to use for loop. For example, we have this array. We have, let's do it just not 3, but 6. 6 values, 6 elements. So we will have 3 more. We can do it just inside one lines. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Something. 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But there are 6 of them because we start with 0. Yes. So and something different as values. And we are going to print them out just using some loop. How can we do it? We can use for loop. And here, I counter will be iterate through indexes. So it will start with 0 because the first index is 0. And it will finish with 5. We can put it here, 5. But it is better. Oh. Yes, so it is better to use another way. I'll show you a bit later. So what we are going to do, we are going to print out each element. Print. And here we have R of I. So it means that we will have here 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. Yes, we will repeat it, but the index will be changed every time, will be increased by 1, because we have the counter from 0 to 5. Yes, and we can put here something else. For example, we can put just the spaces between them. So the first element will be printed out, then the space, then the second space, and so on. So we can do it like this, but is assigned to, of course, must be here. And here we have our elements. Just I need to clear it. So one more time. So these are elements, yes. We see them, they are separated by extra space because print has its own spaces between the elements, and there are two spaces between the elements here. And we can do something else inside this for loop. But not only for loop can be used. Also, we have another loop. We have for each loop to iterate through the elements of the array. But this loop, inside this loop, we can change the values of these elements. For example, let's do it like this. Let's print not just R, but we will print R plus 1, for example. So it was 2, 6, 9, 89, and so on, yes? And now we will have 3, 7, 10, 90, and so on. So we made this calculation here. And also we can do even another way. We can assign this plus equals to 1. So we change the values of our array. We change it. We increase each element by 1. And after it, we can print our array. Or we can use another way. We can use another method, new method for us. Print on. Let's do it like this. So it was 2, 6, 9, 89, and so on. And now we will have 3, 7, 10, and so on. Because each element was increased by 1. We did it here. Yes, it was increased by 1 inside this loop. But as I said, there is more, one more loop for each loop. So we can do it not this way. We can use for each loop to iterate through the element for each. And we need some variable to iterate through the values. For example, x in R2. And here we can print also to print out our x. X means the value of the elements of the array. So here x not index, but the value 2, 6, 9, the value of the elements of the array. For each var x in R means that x will be iterated through the values, not through the indexes. And we can output it, and we don't need it anymore. Here, semicolon, and this comments. Just the same, yes, the same. We printed out the same, but we used another loop. But inside this loop, we can't change the values of the loop. We can't use, for example, R of x equals to something else. No, we can't do it. We can just use it for print it out or something else to compare to something, but not set a new value to it. So this explanation shows you that we have two different kind of loops to iterate through the loops. First loop was for loop to iterate through indexes of the array and do something with the elements of the array. And the second kind of loop, it's for each loop. It iterates through the values of the array and do something with this array. And let's look at one more example. It's also in our presentation. So it is this slide. So sometimes we need to do some procedure of so-called generic type. So array can be of different types, and for example, we can we want to print out the array of any type, not only integer, but any type. For example, to print out the array of char or the array of reals. So in this case, we must use generic type. So a generic method is a method that is declared with type parameter. Type parameter, it is a T, capital T, inside this alligator brackets. Yes, we call them alligator brackets. So we need to use this T to show that it will be generic type, and it will be replaced by that type which will be passed into this procedure. And again, inside these parameters, we have A. It means that it will be an array of some type. We don't know what type. It might be any type. T means any type, and it will be replaced when this procedure will be called. So to make the procedure of generic type, we need to use this T inside these alligator brackets, and this T when we use our parameter array as a parameter. And inside this procedure, we have this loop. It iterates through from 0, starting from 0 to, look at this, we have a new thing. It means the length of the array. The length of the array. Length, it's the method which returns how many elements there inside our array. So if we have, for example, three elements, so we must start with 0 to 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1, because we start with 0, it will be 0 index, it will be 1 index, and it will be 2 index. Only till 2. And there are 3 of them. Yes, 3 elements, but indexes must iterate till 2. So we put minus 1. So remember it, minus 1, because we start with 0. Indexes is less than by 1 than the length of our array. And what we are going to do in our loop, we are going to print out each of our elements. So the first will be 0, the second iteration or the second repetition, it will be the first, and then it will be the second. Yes. And after we print, we have a new line. It just means that we will have a new line. So this procedure is the procedure of generic type. So it means that it is new for you to know that T means any type, and we can use it with different type of array. For example, we can have here var inside our main program. We will have var a not new. Oh, here var a of array of integer, or let's do it real, array of real, and we have some array, so it will be I new real. We must put real here, real, And we will have, for example, 2 of them. For example, 0.2 and 1.3. And we can call this procedure and to pass this array. So we can use print array, and we can pass this A, and it will be of real type. And at the same time, we can use another, for example, B array of char. So it means that it will be some characters there, yes. And B is a new char. Oh my. So of 2 elements, for example, the letter C and the letter D. So it's characters, yes. And we can call again print array. I will do it here. Do you see it? Print array. I hope. And B. So it doesn't matter what type there will be, because we have a procedure of generic type. So it's due to this T, yes? Due to this T, we can use any array of any type. So it was the explanations, just a beginning, because the array, it's a very wide topic, and we will continue it. But now you can do these tasks 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this explanation was enough for you to understand how to do these tasks. So let's look at it. It's task number 2. And you must have here create 2 dynamic arrays. One is with the integer elements, the other is for working with the real numbers. So as I did it in our explanation right now, 2 different arrays of 2 different types, integer and real. Initialize each array with 3 values. So you will have in each array 3 elements. Create procedure to display array elements. So the same as I did it just right now. And just a hint for you to have these alligator brackets and inside them T. Yes, so you have here the hint how to declare your procedure. But we had it just in our slide right now. Yes, so you can do this task and to send me your results.